then there are 13 verses which we're still working on munafiqeen, hypocrites, because this is the most toughest group, if you want to call it. You know, not even now at this time, but even at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Again, to recap, in the first 13 years prophethood, there was one message, and that was, you know, about, you know, there's one God and He is His messenger, and obviously there was talk about heaven and hell and life after death, but basically about belief, not about what we call, you know, the social life in terms of the rules and regulations of community life. That those were not revealed at that time. And you know, in Arabic and in our, it's called Amraniyat. So those rules and Muashiyat and Imraniyat and all of those legal rules came later on in the life, in the second part after the Hijrah, which is the Medina period. So that's why in Makki surah, so Allah has defined first, obviously, and the belief in the unseen, belief in the angel, belief in the book, all of that. And then He talked about, you know, the mu'minun, you know, if you have these qualities, then you're a believer. Then if you deny all of this, then you are kafir. And then if you're not sure what you are, if you're not sure what you are, then you're munafiqeen. We mean us, not Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everybody's heart and everybody. And so you can look at another way of that. The whole emphasis, if you look at it in religion, or we can look at, I think we may have touched this topic a little bit. So there are different levels of intelligence. Okay? So nowadays there's a lot of emphasis on intelligence. A person has to be intelligent and this and that, and you know, QI, the intelligent coefficient, and then there's emotional intelligence. But there is actually, this is all human intelligence. Now we have artificial intelligence, by the way, which is created by humans, okay? Which is pretty good, you know, your computers have the intelligence. If you tell them a task, and they can do it repeatedly, without getting tired, unless you burn the hard disk. But there is the real intelligence, or wisdom, even more than intelligence, is the divine wisdom. So one of the concepts we have to understand is that the seat of the divine wisdom or divine intelligence is not brain. It's the heart. Remember, it's always Allah says, you know, talk about heart. Prophet talks about heart. Says, where is Nur reside? In heart. I mean, Allah created us, so He knows where the intelligence lies. Okay? He knows what the brain functions are. But when it comes to belief, it has to be in the heart. It has to be unconditional. So this is a very important concept, the divine wisdom. What happened to Prophet ﷺ when he became prophet, and he said when he was young, the two angels came. When they did his shara sadr, physical shara sadr, they opened his chest, they took out his heart, and they washed it. So they didn't wash his brain, they washed his heart. See? So heart is where the ruh reside. Heart is where the wisdom, divine wisdom reside. So one of the conflicts we have nowadays, which we have such a hard time understanding divine wisdom, because we're using the brain. We want to be convinced first, then believe. And the whole message is other way around. Allah says, you've got to submit. You have to submit. You have to say that I don't understand this, but if Allah says it, His Messenger says, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that's it. That's the way conflict lies, majority of the conflict. So especially, and it's not new, it's always been, you know, that was the argument from the kuffar. They say, what you're saying, we don't understand, you know. Can we see the God? Can we see the angel? They want to see. You know, say, you know, we don't believe in you because we can't see. But the disease is not in the brain, the disease is in the heart. So this is, if we look at these three groups Allah defined, so He gave us the qualifiers for the believers. Okay, so you believe in, So first of all, the surah starts with, I'm recapping a lot of this, okay, because there's been a big gap. So first of all, it starts with Alif Lam Mim. Nobody knows the meaning of it. So right there and then you gotta submit. Allah said this is not Alam. Right here he says it is not Alam Tara Kaifa or Alam Zalika. He says this is Alif Lam Mim. That's the way it is. This is one of the best explanation of that is that we submit. Allah said Alif Lam Mim. His Prophet ﷺ said Alif Lam Mim. That's it. Whatever it means. It should not bother us. If it bothers us in terms of understanding, no problem. Okay? Because everybody wants to understand. But when you get an answer where Prophet ﷺ said, there's no meaning of it, okay? That's what Allah wants you to say. Then it should provide peace in your heart. Okay, he said it, that's enough. So if you look at these three groups, so again, the first he gave you the qualifiers of the believers, then he said their beliefs. So their heart, if you believe in unseen and their heart get convinced, and one of the best example is, you can three big examples you can see in the beginning, two of them very clear. One is Prophet's wife, and his best friend, Abu Bakr Siddiq. So they didn't ask question. He said, I got this angel and he told me I'm the messenger, I need to carry the message. And they believed in him. They didn't question. Actually, about Abu Bakr Siddiq, he specifically said, Prophet said that everyone when I presented the message asked me some question, except Abu Bakr. Because there are people who are different. So there are people who are always thinking something, and they think this is not right, and this should be this, and whatever they're thinking about it. Okay, once they're presented with that, what they're already thinking, they don't take time to make decisions. So in case of Abu Bakr, he already knew that what's happening here is not correct. Our current lifestyle is not correct. So when Prophet ﷺ presented him with the real, it didn't take him a second or even moment to think about it. He just believed in it because he already was thinking about it in terms of his mind was. He was busy thinking about it. Then there are people who are really, really busy like doing whatever they're doing in their life, and you tell them, they read a few messages here and there, and Umar, he was in the Makkah, but it took him time. Even more clear example would be Hamza, who's the uncle of Prophet. So he was, he didn't become Muslim right away. It took him time to get convinced. And actually his story is very nice. So he comes, and this is one of the narration is that Prophet was praying in Kaaba, and they saw him and they put the stomach of the camel on him, and he couldn't move because he was doing sujood and they put it on him. So then Fatima, she was young, and so she came and she's trying to do, and then other people came and helped. So when Hamza, he was out of the city, he was going for one narration says he was for hunting trip, but he was some out of the town. So when he comes back and people tell him, you know what they did to your nephew? And he said, and they told him this is what they did. So he got really upset. So he goes there, and Abu Jahl and everybody sitting there, and he has his bow and arrow, and so he hits his bow to Abu Jahl's head. He said, how dare you do this to my nephew? You don't know which family he belongs to. So obviously they had argument and whatever, and then he said, are you Muslim now? Are you following him? And he said, yes. And he leaves. And then, so he was a very, very strong personality. But, he didn't convert right away. It took him time. So anyhow, I was digressing, but the point I was talking about, so there is people, disease of the heart. So in Kufar, their heart, you can say it is pretty much diseased in terms that it's not accepting that. And they are always thinking with the brain. Okay, give me this rationale, give me that rationale. No, I don't believe. How come all idols are nullified now and you one God or whatever? And they actually rationalized, they understood the message. But one of the problems they had was, it was a challenge